Hello, you marvellous Millennium malt mates, and a big thank you to Carl Evans for that malt mention. And a malt mention means we're about to have a malt moment, and every malt moment has a reference number. And the reference number is Ralphie Review 964 for this episode. And I am reviewing the winner of the 2022 Best Scotch Whisky Distillery category. And the OSWAs, in case you haven't heard, now I know most of you are aware of this, but in case you haven't heard, the online Scotch Whisky Awards, which you'll find at oswa.co.uk, so easy to remember. However, if you're struggling a wee bit, I've left a link down in the description box below to take you there, where you will get incredibly useful advice, opinion, perspective and votes prioritising the better whiskies from the not so good whiskies. So hopefully, as a whisky buyer that wants to be getting a good bang for your buck and better quality for the price you pay, that the OSWAs will inspire you. And we're going to be doing it again. Roy and I are co-hosting. The initiative is completely based online by whisky enthusiasts, for whisky enthusiasts, and basically there you have it. Now, in one of the categories, the category of Best Distillery in the online Scotch Whisky Awards, Springbank won the award. And I'm actually quite delighted because in reviewing representatives, if not the actual bottlings that have won awards, in having an opportunity to review a representative bottling of an award winner, it's given me the perfect reason to go into my stash where I could open a bottle of Springbank. Now, this particular Springbank is the cask strength 12-year-old series. I'll hold it up close so you can see it. Bottled at 53.2%. Now, I've been all over this bottle with my magnifying glass looking for a reference number. The nearest reference I can give you, because I know many of you are interested in this, is the barcode number, which is 10854 54700. So hopefully that will act as a reference for you. And so I'm going to pour a wee glass of whiskey. Funny enough. Who'd have thought? You can already see, I opened this shortly after Christmas, 2022, and it's been going down faster than any other whiskies I've been tasting. I love Springbank, and that is why it features heavily in my stash, because I anticipated a number of years ago that there was a definitive trend happening affecting Scotch whisky, and that is, as time goes on, more and more people want to consume, they don't want to consume more volume. People want to consume better quality, and therefore the better quality whiskies and better quality versions of whiskies are basically, there's going to be more demand, less supply, and the prices would go up or the products would become unavailable. And that's certainly what has happened with Springbank. And I want to explain a reason why, but we'll come to that shortly. First of all, while this fine single malt is opening up in the glass, I'll mention the other nominations. There was 6 nominations in each category. And in the nominations, the winner was Springbank, so we've got 5 other nominations in the category of Best Distillery in Scotland. And the first one is Ardnamurchan. So I'm just going to briefly give you my opinion on it, because it has won another category as Best New Distillery, so I will be reviewing an Ardnamurchan shortly. But Ardnamurchan is a distillery which has been founded on considerable industry experience, good contacts, and an old-fashioned style of doing business. Therefore, even at a relatively young age, Ardnamurchan is delivering, as a single malt, whether unpeated or peated, it's delivering a very rich, flavoursome experience, which we have over the years of fine-tuning our palates and practising our malt moments, we've really come to appreciate. We like these styles of whisky that aren't clean, that aren't fresh and fruity. They're gutsy, they're a little bit earthy and dirty around the edges, and I'm talking that as a compliment, a real compliment. Another distillery nominated is Isle of Arran, and deservedly so. If you're looking for non-peated, affordable, persistent and consistently good quality whiskies, Isle of Arran is a place to go. The whiskies over 21 years old, in my opinion, are getting a bit expensive, and because of the standard of the younger versions, the older versions don't really impress that much, such as the quality, for example, of the 10-year-old. And if you're even remotely interested in Scotch whisky, a bottle of the 10-year-old Arran will not put you too far out of pocket. It's highly, highly recommended. The next is Bruichladdich, and why not? I mean, the peated version, one of the peated versions of Bruichladdich is Port Charlotte. And it's my whisky of the year, the 10-year-old. 50% bottling is my whisky of the year, and it's a fantastic peated single malt whisky, which in the calibre of its presentation knocks spots off many of its more famous rivals from Islay. Another one is Glen Scotia. Glen Scotia languished for so long, and it's been the next door neighbour of Springbank. I mean, literally, Glen Scotia Distillery is half a mile along the road from Springbank in Campbelltown. And yet, over the decades, people would make a pilgrimage to Campbelltown to visit Springbank, but not Glen Scotia, because it wasn't open, it had a minimal staff, they were just ticking over, and it was suffering from a serious lack of investment. All that's changing. All that is changing, and Glen Scotia has always been highly rated throughout over time by master blenders when they're looking for quality malts to blend in their Scotch blends. And it's well seeing that, in fact, the best whisky of the year in the Oswes is Glen Scotia Victoriana. So another really good recommended distillery to look at if you're looking for quality and for reasonable prices. And then finally, Loch Lomond. I think that's the one that surprises me as making it to the list, because not that long ago, Loch Lomond, frankly, was a laughingstock. It was the primarily producing High Commissioner whisky, which is the whisky that you would get in value bars around Glasgow. I mean, occasionally I actually quite enjoyed it because it was eccentric. But Loch Lomond Distillery it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory transposed into a distillery. There are some seriously weird and wonderful and eccentric confections coming out of that distillery, but there's also new ownership, new leadership, new management, and a new impetus to explore the dynamics of Loch Lomond and to do something seriously impressive with it for those who sip whisky rather than just glug it down with soda and ice. So there's the other 5 contenders, but Springbank has won, and I'll tell you why it's won. Because it is arguably Scotland's finest distillery. Not because the marketing says so, not because the experts say so, and not even because people like me who are enthusiasts and online commentators say so. It's when you smell this whisky and taste the whisky and you know there's something special going on, and indeed there is something special going on. And in my next review, 964 extras, I'm going to tell you what that special thing is that's going on with Springbank, and I'm going to tell you in detail why Springbank is, at this moment in time, Scotland's finest producing distillery, bar none. But let's get into the whiskey now, because that's been quite a long intro, but they're needed to put context. There's no point in me just sitting in front of the camera for 5 minutes going sniff, sniff, taste, taste. It's nice and fruity and it's got lovely flavours and there's a wee bit of nuttiness and a little bit of pina colada, etc., etc. That's not really helpful. What you need, and it takes a longer video to present this, you need context. You need comparison. You need outlying information which helps to explain the reason why you're tasting what you're tasting and smelling what you're smelling. What are we smelling here? 53.2%. It's the richness. It's that golden, complex, syrupy richness that hits the nose. It's not nippy, it's not sharp, it's rounded. Immediately you nose this. You take the glass to your nose and you go, oh. And you don't just lift the glass away immediately. You think, hang about, is this really good stuff? And then you bring your nose back in again. The barley sugars, the complex toffee, the soft spices, the aromatics, the zestiness, the density and complexity at a relatively young age. It literally just jumps out at you, and then you taste it. .2%. You can drink it neat. Where's the nip, the sting, the bite from the alcohol? It's been thoroughly enveloped in excellent cask maturation and one of the most substantially flavoursome single malts that Scotland produces and has done for the last 25 odd years. Can you believe it? There was a time in the 90s that this distillery was closed for lack of demand. There were some other reasons, but there was no big demand for single malt whisky. And what's the point in producing this quality when it costs so much to do so? But not just the fact that times have changed, malt mates. Times have changed dramatically in a very short space of time that has coincided, and I'm sure you've noticed this, coincided almost exactly with the internet. So what happens? This is nectar. This is absolutely nectar of the gods. And I mean, I've tasted a lot of Springbank over the years, and they vary. You get the good, the very good, and the exceptional. But my advice to you is sit this whiskey side by side when you eventually, if you're able to source a bottle, or a bottle of Longrow or Hazelburn. Longrow is the peated version of Springbank. Hazelburn is the triple distilled unpeated version of Springbank. You know, Springbank don't do a bad version. Now and again, you can get a cask which is a bit underperforming. But even so, the weight of the spirit, particularly when the bottling is at a younger age, will carry through the whole experience virtually on its own. And as I say, there's a reason for that, which I'll come to in my extras. I'm going to add some water to this now. Not much actually, just half a teaspoon, so about 3 millilitres, and I'll give you a few more smell descriptors and flavour descriptors. Soft, slightly phenolic, creamy, buttery, vanilla, soft vanilla, complex, really well integrated spices, rich fruit cake, vintage fruit cake, a touch of leathery notes and umami, The umami, by the way, is coming from Dunnage Warehouse. That certain dampness you get in them. Now, I know that Springbank have built a new warehouse recently, which is not Dunnage, but they still extensively use Dunnage warehouses, and particular for a whisky of this calibre, I'm sure at least part of the time for maturation, it's just an opinion, only opinion, the casks have been in Dunnage warehouses where they have gathered that dampness, that earthiness, and because of the richness of the malt in production, it doesn't overwhelm, it integrates beautifully, and you're putting your nose into this glass and you're thinking, this is endless. You know, I could sit here for an hour and I'm going to be still picking stuff out here. And then you taste it. Beautiful, spicy, aromatic wood. Oh, now we're getting more nip, but the nip isn't harsh. The nip is the richness of the flavour, the intensity of the flavour. It doesn't suddenly explode on arrival. It just gathers a crescendo. It accelerates from the arrival of that malt-driven complexity into the development, which is going every which direction. You know, when you taste this whisky, and I've noticed this at events, the room goes silent. People stop chitter-chattering because they've got a whisky which isn't simple. It isn't immediate. It isn't transient. This one's going to stay with you if you have the patience and if you have the respect for it that this deserves. This really, really shows what Scotch whisky is capable of being. And this is so relevant at a moment in time when the big corporations are constantly looking to mechanise, industrialise, to remove people from the equation and replace them with computers and algorithms. And as a result, you get a product. And it stands on its own. It can be reasonably competent, but then you compare it to Springbank, which is the antithesis, the very opposite of the corporate multinational presence. And then you realise, frankly, how shortchanged you are. Every time you buy a bottle of any whisky at 40%, which has been chill filtered to within an inch of its life and has been loaded with artificial, burnt, scorched, industrial sugar colourant. Talking of which, on the front of the label it's quite straightforward, not a lot of information, but on the back, I'm actually going to read this out to you because this matters. I quote, Springbank is unique amongst Scotland's distilleries. True. Every part of the process from malting to bottling is carried out at the distillery. True. Fact. Unlike other whiskies, Springbank single malt whisky is free of artificial colouring. True. Also, it is not chill filtered. True. This will cause a slight natural haze to form when it is cold, but this will disappear when the temperature returns to normal. There it is written, white and black. It's not marketing splurge. It's facts. Basic, simple, tangible facts which respects us. We don't have to email distillery and speak to someone who gives us a replies to our email that no, we don't chill filter our whiskey. And then you're left at the end of this communication wondering, well, maybe they don't chill filter it, but maybe they just filter it extensively without chilling it. How do I know? Because essentially, these distilleries that don't offer disclosure are being economical with the facts, and in doing so, they're misleading you. Deliberately, willfully misleading you. Springbank doesn't do that. Big marketing budget? No need. No need. Big expensive costs in advertising and sending out samples left, right and centre to influencers and experts and journalists and more journalists and more journalists. Completely unnecessary. Springbank just don't have to do this at all because they have the most powerful card in the deck, and that is the self-evident, transparent quality of what they make and what they do. And do you know, thank goodness Springbank is there. Because without Springbank, Scotch whisky would have less of a reputation. Simple as. Less of a reputation. As it is, Scotch whisky's reputation, in my opinion, is starting to slide. If you want to know why, ask the big producers. Malt mark. Let's give this a mark. Ooh, what we would go into my little malt marks tub. It's a splendid example of Springbank. It's nectar. I'm going to give this a malt mark of 88 out of 100. Now, I know there's been some concern with malt regulars, malt mates and pat pals, that I've really started dropping my marks recently. It's a malt mark, by the way. But there's a reason I'm doing this. I want more separation now between the best and the rest. I don't want to be 1, 2, maybe even 3 marks between a seriously good whisky like Springbank and something that is insulting your intelligence and basically leaving you profoundly disappointed like 15-year-old Glen Grant. Just an opinion. Hey, I can say this. I bought that bottle and yes, I was very disappointed. Very badly made whisky. Just badly made. I felt swindled when I bought that bottle. See this? I feel well rewarded. Now, if you pop back again for Ralphie Review 964 Extras, I shall tell you in detail why Springbank is so deserving of its reputation. Thank you for watching. Where's my little Clivey clicker? I've got it here, you know. It signals, that big red button, the end of this review. Bye.